It's making it Monday, number, I think it's 3. I lose track, don't you? But it's B8 and it's Bob. And Bob is our hair straightener case. So it keeps your hot straighteners, or your hair curlers, whatever you've got that will fit in here, nice and safe. And it keeps you nice and safe. That's the main thing. And it means that none of your wires are anywhere near the hot irons or the hot part of your instrument. I was going to say oh dear, not a good start. It keeps your wires away from the irons, obviously the hot bit. You don't want your wires mixed up with that. And also, if you're on the go and you need to quickly, do something with your hair, then obviously you can tidy this away nice and safely. Now, I have used Thermolam in here, and Thermolam is quite a thin type of wadding. It's great for things that are hot, but you might want to try an extra layer of your wadding, your 80-20. So you could use the Thermolam on its own, you could use the Thermolam and the 80-20 together, or you could use 80-20 just on its own. It depends what you're going to use it for, really. But the idea is that if you use Thermolam, it keeps everything safe. And because we're using cotton, don't use polycotton or anything like that. Use everything that's natural, and then you'll be safe. And it keeps everything secure. And even if you put that into a case, the hot irons aren't going to damage anything. It's going to keep it all safe. So this is Bob. So welcome everybody that's joining me. I'll put that down just for a second. I'll have a quick look on my pooter. I've got lots of lovely people joining us already. Thank you so much. We've got Kath and Ellen and Caroline, Julie and Carol and Linda. We've got Jackie and Mary. Mary's in Spain. What's the weather like, Mary? Because actually we've had a lovely day, haven't we? It's been, I think here, it's been about 16-17 degrees. There's still a chill in the air, so we're not getting too excited, but it's been a really lovely day. Blue skies. I mean, gosh, is that enough to absolutely cheer you up? So there we are. So Melba as well has joined us, as are Bridget and Rachel and Catherine and Vic. Vic, you've just joined Platinum. I saw that go through. Oh my gosh, you're in for a treat. Because of course I've started the second project, the Bare Bones. I'm doing this slowly with you all, so you'll be able to see that in the Platinum, on the Platinum page, which is your secret page on the website. We've got somebody here from Ontario. I just missed who that was? Oh, here we are. Wendy. Hi, Wendy. Family Day here in Ontario. Oh, okay. So does that mean, I don't know, great food and drink and music? I don't know what, or is it just a family day? Is it? Let us know, Wendy. Crikey, enlighten us. Margot says, "Oh, made it. It's 6 a.m. here." Margot, so are you Australia? I think you might be, mightn't you? Because I think Dee Dee's around about that time when she joins in. Mary says, "Not too bad, Lizzie, actually. Cool first thing, but warms up as the day goes on. Lovely blue sky, though." Yeah, a blue sky just sometimes is just what we need, isn't it? So yeah, beautiful day all round. Absolutely fabulous. So I'm looking quickly through the comments. Everybody's saying hello to everybody else. So if you see somebody, Australia, thank you, Margot. If you see somebody above that says hello, say hello back and use their name, and let's have a little friendly party to say hello to everybody. It's lovely. It's lovely to see you all. There's Christine there as well, and Janice. So lovely to have you join us this evening to make Bob. Now, I'm going to point you down so you can see what Bob looks like. I'll just get rid of the phone. I have the phone there in case I get into trouble. So this is the front of Bob, and it takes obviously your hair straighteners or even your hair curlers. It goes quite nicely in there. That's right up the end there. So if you've got something that's about the same length, because what you really want is for this wire to go out of the case to one side, and then it's all protected and it doesn't get in the way. And as you close the flap over, everything is lovely, neat and tidy. And then if we flip it over to the back, you'll be able to see that we've got another part of the flap there which actually contains your wires and keeps that all secure. So with all the different rectangles we're using and all the different measurements, it's quite a nice little make. Now the other thing is, of course, you can move that hook and loop over a little bit further if you wanted to, or indeed you could bring it in if you wanted to. We've got the nice sort of like I say, the hook and loop there, so it keeps everything secure. What you don't want to be using, and I really need to stress this, you don't want to be using poppers, you know, the plastic poppers we normally use, and you don't want to be using like a magnetic closure, because anything you use is going to get hot. Your poppers might melt, seriously they might, and also if you have a magnetic closure it'll get hot, and you could very well burn your fingers just on the magnetic closure. So try and stick to the hook and loop if you can. It's easily obtainable. So yeah, you'll be good to go. And it's just a great thing to keep all those wires lovely and safe out of the way. Now on my Amazon page, my Amazon shop, I think I've put some thermalam in there, and there was something else oh, Velcro. I did put the hook and loop on there. So if one of the admin is around and can post my Amazon shop link, you can get the Velcro. Obviously, you don't have to get it from my shop. You can have a look around. And the thermalam is in there as well. Now, the other thing which you can't really see terribly well is that it is actually quilted. Now, because thermalam is actually quite thin, it doesn't give that puffiness. But you don't want anything, you don't want any polyester wadding in here, you don't want any huge loft, but by using the 80/20 and the thermalam, you might give you a more quilted look. But in the, thank you Gemma, on the one that I've made already, which let me just show you that, just let me start off, not when I've prepped I should say. I've actually used, you can see it beautifully now, and I've used a silver thread because I wanted that to show through. And this is the back, and I've already prepped where my bits and pieces, if you like, should go, to save me worrying about that when we're live. If you're using directional fabric, which this is, beautiful fabric from Higgs and Higgs, I don't know if they have it anymore, you want the back and the front to go obviously the right way, but what you'll find, and I say this in the pattern, that when you do the flap will be, if you look at the front, I don't know if let's just see if I can get this so it makes any sense. So this is my flap. So on the front, let's assume that's the front, it's not, it's the back. But when that sits on there, you've got the flowers still going in the right direction. When it goes over to the back, this is the back, you'll find your flowers, or whatever it is upside down. So as long as you're happy about that, then by all means use directional. It don't bother me, I have to be honest with you. I mean, you could cut it and stitch it, but why would you want to bother doing that? I would say go with it. It depends on what the design is, but with these little sort of rosebuds, I mean, they're just so gorgeous, and it's lovely that you can see the quilting a little bit more in the whiter fabric. Like I say, you couldn't very well with this. This is Tilda, so obviously it's a little bit busier than you know, some of the fabrics. So that's Bob. So it's a really, and I'm sorry, there was a pun intended with Bob. Obviously there was. First of all, we got B8, which is like B and B. Okay, so we're going away to a B and B. I know, how does that mind work, really? And then I thought, because they're hair straighteners, we could call it Bob. I know. I don't know where it comes from. I really don't. So let's get cracking before I get myself into bother. Let's just pop that over there. Okay. So as you could tell before, I have actually done the back and front of the main pieces. Let's just bring those in so you can see. And I've already marked out the poignant bits. So I've marked out the spot where the front piece of Velcro will go, and we'll do this obviously as we go along, and then the back obviously, and so I'm not going to iron this now otherwise I lose my markers, and then we've got the markers here at the back, which is, they're vital. But what I am going to show you on the flap, I'll show you how to get that perfect quilting line going down, because if I do it this way, and hopefully you can, there we are, that's a little better if I tilt it, you'll notice that the squares go right down the centre of your piece, okay? And that is a skill, so that's something that you could perhaps learn tonight, and that's something that you can take on to other projects, because it obviously it's beautiful. It's beautiful that we've got that accuracy. Plus, if you look at the squares, we've got exactly 3 squares going across there, so it just is perfection. So all I'm saying is you're going to learn a skill of how to do those squares. Gosh, I'm bigging myself up here. So I've got my thermolam, I've got my outer, and oh, I've just realised I've just thrown some of my Velcro away, so I need to find the other bit. Oh, here it is. I thought I put it in the bin, sorry. And the lining, now isn't the lining superb? That beautiful gingham there, it's just absolutely priceless. So what we're going to do is we're going to quilt just this top part here. So we're going to quilt the outer flap piece. Now I'm not going to take those pins out because that's a marker, so I'll work my way around it. So we're going to quilt this outer piece and the thermolam, okay? Now it's quite a small piece, but you could still put a little bit of 505 on there just to hold it together. But seriously, it's such a small piece, I perhaps, you know, normally wouldn't worry so much. So I'm just going to pop that down like that. Beautiful. Smooth it out. Always take care with your work. Give it, make sure it's neat and tidy. And then we're going to quilt it. So all I'm going to do there is draw my lines. Now then, I need to give you some advice. If you use batik, do not use a heat erasable pen. They will absolutely 100% leave a white mark regardless, okay? Unless your stitching is superb, which covers the white line, I wouldn't use a batik. That's just my little bit of advice there. But fabrics like this are absolutely fine with a heat erasable. And I'd like to think wherever we draw, we're going to stitch. So you're not going to see those white lines anyway. And if you do use a darker fabric, obviously you're going to use a chalk pen. Okay, so to get that perfect square, we're going to start off with our 45-degree line. And I'm just going to place it and then I'll show you and point it out. So our 45-degree line goes along here. Okay, and that 45-degree line, I don't think you can see it, but if I bring it down, you can see it now. It goes onto the edge of the fabric like that, so the raw edge. And I tend to start in a corner. Why not? And then we're just going to draw a line across like that. So just draw it across. And you don't have to go heavy, but obviously you want to be able to see it. You might find using a scoring tool, it's the life of me, I've forgotten what it's called now, but a scoring tool, a Hera marker, will give you a crease line, and that's just as good as to follow. So you certainly use that with your batiks. So we're measuring out 1.5 inches from my first line, and we'll draw that second line in, and then we'll turn the fabric and we'll just continue across the piece. And my top tip is to use a long ruler. So, you know, you might be tempted, for instance, to go with a smaller ruler, but that doesn't necessarily go across your piece. I mean, it just about. So I would always go for a longer ruler. And then just mark up your piece. And don't worry about what happens anywhere else. I'm not bothered that it doesn't go into the corner there. And then we'll mark it again. And I'm not going to bother doing anything here at all, because obviously that's going to be in the seam allowance. Right, so the next thing we need to do is to work out the halfway mark. And on this particular width, it means that I want to measure in about 2¼ inches, but you want to hit one of these lines. It doesn't matter which line, but you want to hit one of these lines. So if I bring my ruler in, I find my 2¼ and I take it along, make sure it's level, and I take it, let me have a think what I'm doing, 2¼ nearly got that wrong, guys. And you want to put a little mark there, okay? You can just about see that I've made a mark in the halfway point. If you're not sure, you know, fold it in half and make sure that that dot is right in the centre, and it is literally just there. Okay, and now we want to go the other way, so we want to go do the crosshatch, if you like. And this is sometimes where I get my brain gets confused, because I want to go that way. So we'll see how we get on. Oh, that's okay, I've got it. So there is my 45° line there again. Look, there it is, running along there. And again, you want to get it level with your raw edge, but you want to do it so it's on that dot. So if I bring that down, let me put the 45° on there so you can see. Okay, so I've got my 45° line there, and I've got that going across my piece, and there is my dot. Now don't worry too much about where that dot is. It could have been on this line, okay, or it could have been on that line. It just so happens I picked that one. It'll still give you the same effect. Okay, so we'll draw that line in, and you can just see I kind of missed that bit there. I can see it, but it's a bit faint for you, but I'll leave it as it is. And then we're just going across again, and make sure that your ruler sits right on top of the previous line. And you can see straight away that I've got that beautiful square going right down the centre. And if I do bring my ruler over, look, it's such a minute piece, I probably won't bother with that. But, you know, I might get carried away and actually do it. Who knows? So again, we go down the other way. So just draw your lines in. And although I did the 2 outer pieces, I thought it was important that we do some of it. And then you can see how it's done and how accurate sometimes it can be and how lovely it'll look. So you can see that you've got your squares running all the way down. And if anybody that has problems with randomness, this is so not random, okay? So it gives you a lovely, lovely finish. So what we're going to do is we're going to stitch that. Now, I've put my silver thread in my machine, and it could well be temperamental because I haven't got it on a stand. It's a big old cone of silver thread, and it should be on a stand. So we'll see how we go, but it was all right earlier. I've got my walking foot on because I've got a couple of layers, but we've stuck it down with our 505, so it should be fine. So let's start stitching. I want my stitch length on at least 3. You could even go up more than that to 3.2, 3.4. But yeah, and you just want to enjoy the process. Now, if I cut my threads with this machine with this silver thread in, the silver thread might jump in my machine. It sounds a bit crazy. Normally I would cut my threads here, but I'm actually going to travel along, and that keeps my thread a little bit more stable. It's only because I'm using this particular thread on this particular cone, okay? Now I'm just coming up to my pin, so I'm actually going to move it, which obviously I'll have to move it again in a minute. I don't want to lose that. So I'm going about 1/16 of an inch along there. Now normally with a big old quilt you absolutely wouldn't do what I'm doing, which is going up and then back. You would always go from top to bottom. You certainly wouldn't do what I'm doing because it could twist your fabric. Okay, so this is the only reason I'm doing this, because of the thread I'm using. Okay, so I'm just going to move my pin again back to where it was. You'll see why later, why that's vital. There we go. So I'm going to travel along here because I want to go up this line here. So although you might think, oh, it's wasting a bit of thread, the sole reason for this is so I can demonstrate and not have problems with my thread, because it will misbehave, my thread, I know it. So I'm going to move that to up here. There we go. And it's nice to see a little bit of quilting done, and because it's silver thread, it'll really stand out. There we go. The other thing about using the blue lines like we've done, let me just see where I want to go. I want to come down here now because I want to start my crosshatch going across. Is that it's lovely seeing the blue lines erased with a hot iron. It's one of my favourite things. Let's travel along here. Again, I've got to move my pin. Let me move it back there. It's on that side. Just make our way along. And as long as you track it within the seam allowance, it's fine. Absolutely fine. There we go. Just turning it around with one hand so you can keep your eye on the screen. And then come along and go up. So don't forget, when you're doing it, you might want to start here, break your threads, come back here, break your threads, come back to here, break your threads. You wouldn't normally do what I'm doing, okay? So where am I going now? Oh, this one. That's it. There we go. So let's move that pin again. You'll think, what a nuisance. Well, I nearly drew in biro, so I I thought, no, that's extreme. Although, to be honest, it would have been in the seam allowance. So let's just move it on. So is everybody okay? Is everybody having a lovely time? Have you had a lovely day? Because the sun has been shining. It's just been glorious. If I can just move those pins again. Yeah. And I've been a busy bee here in my workroom, getting ready for March, for new patterns and designs, new ideas, a little bit of inspiration here and there. I will do that little bit in the corner, why not? Let's track myself up here. And for anybody that knew that it was my birthday yesterday, I had the most amazing day. Yeah, I really had a lovely day. So thank you all very much for your messages. It's been super. So look, there we are. So that's that little bit quilted. Obviously, the transformation is, of course, when when I iron it. So we'll do that now. We'll get that ironed. And I'm lucky that I've got a slightly bigger mat now. So let's bring that in. So it's just the right length. And just trim your threads up if you need to, just to keep everything super duper neat. And please, please, please iron your sewing. Right, so you can see how dark the lines are, and it detracts from it. It kind of makes it look dirty in some ways. So as soon as we put the iron on it, you know, hey presto, it's just absolutely gorgeous. Clean, simple, beautiful quilting. Absolutely gorgeous. I'm going to turn that off. So if I bring it up to you, you can see that it's just gorgeous. I don't know if it's catching the light at all. I'm not sure it is. But anyway. Oh, Violet says she woke up this morning with a terrible backache. It didn't stop her tidying her sew room. Violet, I should have tidied mine today, but, you know, I got sidetracked somewhat. Okay, so there's our little front done of the flap. So the next thing we're going to do is stitch the layers together. So we're going to do right sides together with our lining. Now, of course, this is what I meant to do. Now I've ironed it, I want to put my pen marks in again. So I'm going to take my pin out. Obviously we can't stitch it with a pin in, but I want to make sure that I've kept that mark there. And in your pattern, it'll say about the back piece and the back flap, is that is a definite certain measurement. Okay, so you need to not necessarily mark it, but just be aware of it. I mean, you could in fact fold it in and give it a press if you want to, if you're worried about marking, but that is a definite mark that you need, that one there. So let's stitch this together. So we're going to do right sides together, and we're going to stitch all the way around, but leave a turning gap of, I don't know, I think I said 3 inches in the pattern, maybe 2.5 inches, 3 inches, whatever is comfortable for you. The main thing to do is to remember not to iron it afterwards. I've got to remember to do that, because that would be my first instinct, would be to actually iron it as soon as I turn it through. So, oh, I've got to change my thread. So let me just do that, guys. Sorry about that. I'll just, won't take me a minute, but I will just change it. So it's a lovely cone of thread, and it's my beautiful embroidery thread from Somac, which I think you probably, those of you that are certainly in my group, know about Somac. In my opinion, the best embroidery thread out there, but it's Japanese, you see, it's Japanese. Which, you know, kind of gives you good quality, I have to say. Right, so just thread this machine up. Let's see if it, hold on, let's try that. Thread it, yep. Sometimes if your needle is just out of sync, there's no way it's going to thread, is it? No way. There we go. Right. So I'm going to set my stitch on a 1/4 inch width stitch. You may well have a foot that is a 1/4 inch foot, so by all means use it, or use your walking foot, because obviously you've got the layers. So let's just start stitching this. So we're going to start, well, we'll start sort of about here, which is about 2 inches from the bottom. We're doing a 1/4 inch seam allowance. I'm just going to do a little back stitch. I'm just going to go all the way around. Let me just turn my stitch length up. It defaults to stitch length 2, because it's meant to be for quilting, obviously a 1/4 inch, and you know, that's far too small for regular stitching, because we're not quilting this, are we? We're just laying the layers together. So just get that stitched. So let's have a look. Colette said, I finally have all her bits and pieces to make Kathy, and we'll start after watching how to make Bob. Oh, well done, Colette. Well, you've got all your day ahead of you, haven't you, in the States? What else have we got? Sandra says, I've been indoor with curtains closed on the second day of the humding of a migraine. Oh, Sandra. Blinking heads, they are annoying, aren't they? Migraines. I've been suffering terribly from tinnitus the last few days. It's so loud, it's just awful, and so my sympathies go out to you, because it's just not nice in your head having pains. So I've left a tiny little turning gap there, but that's just enough. So what I'm going to do is just snip my corners off, just to make sure they're nice and neat, and we'll turn that through. And when I've put my pins back in again, I will give it an iron. Okay, so let's just snip the corners off. Pollyann says, I've been lucky, I had a nice day with our quilting group. Oh, Polly, I would love to be sitting in a quilting group any time of the day, or just a group of like-minded ladies. Sometimes that's all we need, don't we? Now, I've left my lovely turning tool the other side of the room. Now, you don't obviously have to use Thermolam for this flap necessarily, because it's not really coming into contact with anything hot, but just for safety's sake you might want to use Thermolam. It's a lovely product. It's lovely and soft. I'm sure there's an equivalent in the US. In fact, in the group, haven't we got a conversion table? And is Thermolam in there, I wonder? So if you're one of my groupies, I would go and have a little look-see. So let's just get that poked out. I wish you could see the silver stitching. I don't know if you can pick it up. I'll have to have a look afterwards and see if you can. But it looks so sweet. It really does. So once again, we've turned it through and you can see it's creased it, and we're going to press it. But I'm going to put my pin in again because we're going to lose that pressing line. In fact, I'm going to just do it so I don't catch my fingers. You bury the head. That's what you need to do. On this side, of course, we've got the turning gap, but we are going to stitch that. We're going to top stitch in a little while, and we're going to close that turning gap off, but I want to give that a press again. Okay, so let's just turn the iron on. Fortunately, it doesn't take too long. Judy says, I went to my sewing group this morning, really enjoyable, and then this afternoon I started to pack for my holiday. Oh gosh, now Judy is going on like a world adventure. I'm not sure actually, if Judy's my friend, because she's not taking me. I think that's terrible. How wonderful, going on an adventure on a big holiday like that. How fantastic is that? I'm not envious at all. Oh, not at all envious at all. Not even the slightest little bit. Not even a sausage. I'm not bothered. Not at all. Anyway. So what I'm going to do, just to help me again, because this will all become clear why I'm having to faff around with this little section here. It'll become obvious in a bit. So there is our flap. Now then, the next thing we need to do is to attach our hook and loop. And on the flap, we're going to use the fluffy part. You can swap them over if you want to. It's not for me to tell you what to do. It's just merely my suggestion. And you want to make sure that's pinned in place. So we're going to pop a pin in, and I've put it right up to the edge, and you want to obviously get it in the middle. So I'm just going to pop a pin in there. You do not want to pin here. You want it here. Okay, you don't want it here, you want that pin here. Okay, you'll understand in a minute why I'm going on about it. So again, I'm using the fluffy side, which is obviously the loops, and you're going to do the same on the other end. Okay, you're going to get it right up to the edge of your flap there, and again we put the pin in there. And obviously, if that's not quite straight, or you're not quite happy with how that looks, as you come to it, you can move it. Of course you can. So, oh, Judy says, to take all my close friends, I would need at least another 15 cases. I'd only need one case, Judy. Just saying. So what we're going to do now is top stitch, and we're going to top stitch all the way around, and as we go around we're going to actually catch the bottom of our Velcro, and we're going to close our turning gap, catch the bottom of our Velcro, and obviously finish off. So it's going to cover a lot of things when we do this top stitching, and obviously you want to try and keep it as neat as you can, because you've got the turning gap there, which is where there, you want to make sure that it's just under the 1/4 inch, otherwise you won't catch your edges. Okay, so start with it wherever you like. Now don't forget, I would top stitch this on the right side, because that's what you're going to see the majority of the time. So we'll start just in fact I might move the needle, because I prefer my needle in the normal place usually when I'm top stitching. So obviously you're not going to stitch anywhere near your pins. My pin is behind my needle there, and we're just going to start. Now also I want my stitch length on, well, 3 is good. 3 is good. Just come all the way down, and you want to poke out your corners nicely. Mine are a little bit rounded, and because we're stitching on the right side, can you see there, that's my pin, and that's the reason why we put the pin there, because we're not going to go anywhere near it. So you can hear my machine going through the Velcro, and then we're going to come up the other side. I've ironed my little crease there. You seriously, you won't really need to do that because I give you the measurements in the pattern. So you won't need to do that because it's all there for you. Going over the Velcro again, up to the corner, which could be a little better, I have to say. Just cut my end off there. And this is where our turning gap is, so I really want to make sure that that is fairly beautiful there. It's not too bad. Oh, fairly happy. And then come up the other side. So this is why the top stitching, although sometimes you'd think it was a bit of a pain, actually it's doing a lot of jobs here. All right, okay. So that's our top stitching done. I can just see my marks, so I'm very happy about that. So now we're going to flip it over, and I want you to now stitch the rest of the Velcro down. So obviously you can take the pins out now because it's secure. This is why you need to put it right up to the edge because it catches it as you go round. Look, it's beautiful. Kath's put the Pellon equivalent. Thank you, Kath. So you really want to make sure this is strong, so you need a nice back stitch. You might even want to reduce your stitch length, but you're not going to rip it apart, are you? So it's fine. Again, but you do need a back stitch for those stitches. Just cut our threads, make everything neat and tidy, and we'll do the other one. So we're just going up, across and down. No need to go over that bottom one. A couple of back stitches. And then across. And obviously you're going to see this on the front, so you want to be as neat as you can be. And straight. I went off at an angle there. Oh, who said this? Oh, June. Oh, great. Thank you, June. June's put the equivalent on as well. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's just trim those little ends off there. That's super. So now we've got our Velcro attached and we've top stitched, and that's our flap ready to go. So if you remember right at the beginning, I said to you that that's the front with the flowers going the correct way, and this is the back where the flowers are coming down, and I've deliberately used directional fabric just in case you do. If you don't use directional fabric, it doesn't matter which part of this becomes your front or your back, okay? So the next bit is interesting. Let's just go on the overhead. Right, okay, so let's do the front first. I think in the pattern, let me just have a quick look. Sorry about my arm going across there. Just want to make sure I'm doing this in the order that you're seeing it. So main piece, I go for the front. So let's just keep that up there. So this is the front piece. And this is the crucial mark that I've already made, and you will have that crucial mark measurement in the pattern. So you're measuring down and you're marking, okay? So you want to get the front part of your flap. So if you're using directional fabric, it's this way. So if I do it so you can see it like that, so you can see the flowers are going up. So let's just flip that over, and what we want to do is attach our other piece of Velcro, okay? So you're literally sticking it on top of the piece that you've just stitched, basically. And then what you can do is get some quilter's tape. Now you don't have to do this bit. This is just a nice little trick. To be honest, the quilter's tape really isn't strong enough to do what I want it to do, but it helps. Put it on the back of your Velcro. If you've got stick-on Velcro, hook and loop, whatever you want to call it, it will not be strong enough for this project, so you still need to stitch it. However, the sticky part will work for this particular moment in time where we're going to line everything up. Okay, so put your quilter's tape on, peel off the backing. So we've got our glue. Can you see? Let me just get rid of the piece of paper. So you can see I've got my glue. There we go. And I'm going to just literally glue it down onto the front of my case. Now you can just see the line here. So you're putting the edge of your flap against the line. Okay, that's how it's been measured for us, or for you. Not for us, because that's how I did it. So I've measured it so you line this edge up with the line that you've made here. And that has temporarily stuck that other piece of Velcro down. However, it's not strong enough to hold it. So what I need to do is peel that away. I'm keeping hold of my other piece. So you're taking care with it, and that's put the Velcro, the other half of it, exactly where we want it to be. So now we've done that, let's do the back, because then we'll just go to the machine and machine it. So we're going to do exactly the same with this one. This is the marking on the back. This is something else. This is the marking on the back that you've got the measurement for in the pattern, and you're going to line up the Velcro on the other side of the flap, the upside down flowers part, with that. So if we flip it over, you can see I've still got my quilter's tape there. So let's just take that off. Let's just show you the glue. There you go. And you could use actually fabric glue, but this is literally a temporary hold. So again, flip it over, find the centre as best you can. To be honest, it's great because we've got the line of the squares, and that will line up perfectly with that. I mean, I'm not looking overhead, so I'm assuming it is. And I've lined this bottom edge with my mark. My mark is sitting literally where my nail is, just there. Give it a squidge so it does do a bit of connection. It will not hold it like you think it might. You'll still need to ease it off, keep hold of it there, but it's enough not to wriggle, which is exactly how you want it to be. And of course you could pin it now. So we don't need at the moment. We're going to now stitch on our Velcro, our hook and loop, whatever you want to call it. Is it Velcro in the States? I'm not sure. Not sure. Oh dear. Carol says, hi y'all. I'm here in a moderately sunny Connecticut, 65 degrees. Glad I'm not in Florida. What's happening in Florida? No, you see, we want to know what's happening. It's not the sort of thing that we would get news for over here in the UK. Is it something? I'm going to just do that one stitch, because that's it. Is it rain? Florida. I went there once to HSN, to the studios there. I was helping Sarah Davis set up a TV show. That was an interesting experience. 90 degrees? Good grief. That's why I didn't like Florida, I'll be honest with you. Too darn hot. Right, so there's our Velcro stitched on. So if we turn that over, you can see that it's been stitched on the back. So let's do the front. Yes, it was incredibly humid. I hated it. I'm sorry, but I'm sure people love Florida. I don't. Or I didn't at that moment in time. It was September, so maybe that's the worst time to go. And we worked solid for 24 hours. No break. No break. It's the worst experience of my life. I did tell Sarah that. I did tell Sarah that. So there's the front. Okay. And you can see we've stitched it on the back. Right, let's move on. 90 degrees. That's hot. That's hot. Is it normally that hot? I'm just thinking now, is it hot? Yes, of course it's hot. Right. Let me have a look at the pattern. Excuse me with my arm going over across there again. I just want to make sure I get the next stage correct with you in the pattern. We've done the Velcro bit. We've done all the measuring. Oh yes, I've got to do that bit. Yep, sorted. Right, so with the back piece, so this is the back piece, okay? We've got this line going across. Now in the pattern it tells you the line that you want and how much that measurement is, okay? It doesn't matter that it goes side to side. You just want to make sure that you measure that particular measurement, okay? We want to get the piece that's going on the back, and when we put it on, it's not going to sit, it's going to sound a bit weird. You can attach the Velcro if you want, but the line we're going to stitch is actually right up here, which is the line that I kept on about, saying I've got to put my pin in, I've got to mark it, I've got to iron it, and you'll see that it does not sit flat. So if I bring that up, there you go, it does not sit flat. I think it's quite important that you fully understand that. So I'm just going to lay it down. So what I've done is I've marked, there's a measurement in the pattern to say you measure from there to there, and you mark it, which I've done, and that's the line that we're going to stitch across there to attach our flap to our back piece, okay? And when we stitch that, you've got to make sure, and I'm being really like that, you really want to make sure that you leave a good 1/4 inch allowance here, because obviously that's where we're going to stitch next. So don't worry about what this is happening. If this is happening, that will not be lying on the Velcro, okay? My Velcro is over here. It's way over here, look. So it's not going to lie flat, obviously deliberately. So I'll just pop a pin in just to hold that all together. I'm hoping I've got it in the middle. It looks okay on camera. And I'm just literally going to stitch across here, right across here to here, and I'm going to back stitch nicely so it holds it all in place. So let's go and do that. I didn't realise it's 10 to 8. That's ridiculous. That's crazy. Where's that time gone? Right, okay, I better speed up. So we're just going straight across. And you don't have to go all the way across. Can you see where I've stopped? Nice back stitch and cut. Okay, and while you're there, we'll keep you there on camera because we're going to, on the side, because I'm going to stitch the lining now. So you're just going to take this front portion and you're going to fold it over and you're going to pin it out of the way. You're going to bury the sharp pin end, okay? And that'll be fine even when you're turning through. Just make sure you bury the point, okay? You can see what I've done, and that holds that flap right out of the way. Okay, so that while we've got that there, the next thing we're going to do is attach the lining. So one piece of lining, and it's the short end, and we're going to stitch it to the short end at the top of your case, and we're going to use 1/4 inch. Now then, you might find that your machine gets stuck where this flap is, okay? Where this flap is, it might want to push you off course. What I would say is use your zipper foot, okay? Use your zipper foot. Let me just lift my foot up there again. Move that slightly along. Use your zipper foot for this bit if you struggle. Or you could move your needle more over to the left and then you'll be fine with the side of your foot. There's lots of little tricks you can do, but I'm just going to kind of tell it who's boss. It's just got caught there, so I'll just move that along. So I'm sorry my hand's in the way now, but I've got to hold it to move it along. There we go. Fine now. Fine now. So we've gone all the way along, little back stitch and cut. So there's my lining attached to my top. Yeah, happy? So now we're going to do the same with the front. So there's our front, and there's my lining. So just match it up. Whoever cut my fabric's made a rubbish job. That'd be me. And you're just going to stitch along the top there. I think one piece is slightly bigger than the other. So you don't need to back stitch with this, I'll be honest. All the way across, 1/4 inch, best you can. No more, otherwise it just makes it bulky. And cut your threads. There we go. So now we've attached our lining to our top of the case front. Now let's just quickly put you on the overhead just for a sec, because now we've got 2 long pieces. Now I won't be able to get that on camera, but if I do that, you see my fabric is just a wee bit too wide. So we're going to do right sides together. Now don't forget, with this, it's fine for turning through as long as you have buried the point of your pin, but it keeps that flap out of the way. It should be okay now because we've done our top stitching, you know, our top stitching here, but just in case, I would keep it pinned. That's up to you. You might decide that that's not the thing that you would like to do. There we go. So now right sides together. So make sure this is your Velcro, can just see it. This is my Velcro here, can just see it. So we're just going on top of each other like that. So just bring those pieces together. I'm going to use my outer as my guide rather than my lining, because my lining looks like it was cut a little bit too wide. Try and get those seams to sit nicely on top of each other. And that's where a nice little pin will help. And we're going to stitch all the way round except for this short edge here. Okay, we're not going to stitch that at all. We're going to start here, all the way round, finish here, okay? Because there's a trick to the last little bit. So let's just bring the machine in. Oh, Colette says, we're just getting ready for nearly 3 days of snow. Oh my Lord. You see, just when we think we're safe, and I know you're obviously in a different country, but same rules apply. And you think, oh yeah, we're nearly there. There's no way. No way. Oh dear. My sister brought me the most amazing collection of daffodil and narcissi. I had 3 vases full. Absolutely gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And they're on my windowsill in my kitchen at the moment. Oh my gosh, so lovely. My favourite flower, really is. Brings me a little bit of sunshine. So we're going all the way around, guys. Nice little bit of stitching. You can put your stitch length up if you want to. You know, what's this, 2, oh, this is on 3, 2.8, it's good, 2.6, that sort of length is good. If you want to round these corners off, you can, because your straightening irons won't fill this, so there we go, so all the way along. And like everything, when you've finished, you're going to give it a lovely press, aren't you? right down to the bottom now. I've got something that's stopping. I've got my bobbin winders just there. Let's just make sure I'm catching all the layers. Yep. So give that a little back press, back stitch. Okay, so let's just have a quick check and make sure that we've caught everything. Have a quick sort of glance, go all the way around, have a little look, because there's nothing worse than getting confident and then you turn it through and yeah, you know what I'm going to say. So let's just have a little quick look at this. So we've left all this bottom piece open, so it's easy to get your hand in there. Obviously be careful of that pin, but we've buried it, so it should be fine. And just bring your case out. Just turn it through. That's it. Here we go. Come on. Because don't forget, you've got quite a few layers with that flap as well. So just, you know, take your time. You don't want to rip any stitches or do any damage to your beautiful case. There we go. Making a pig steer of it now. There we go. Come on. That's it. So let me get my turning tool in there. So obviously the turning tool goes right away along. Don't forget to give this, again, like I said, and I'll keep on saying, a lovely, lovely press. There we go. Push that out. There we go. Lovely. So, there we are. That's better. Okay, so on the other end here, we can take that pin out now. On the other end here, what we want to do is to press this end under at least 1/2 inch. Okay, so let's just give it a little press to straighten it out. And then, let's just put that back. And then I'm going to turn it under at least 1/2 inch. In fact, I tend to go from the sides, push that in, and then just give it a little tug. Because we're using gingham, you can see if you've got it straightish, but you want a good 1/2 inch because that'll sit better, that lining will sit better in the bottom of your case. It'll stop it from scrunching up. So I'm just going to stitch that turning gap. I know, it's a rare occurrence. So all the way along, not going to bother to back stitch. And Jeanette says, would make a great phone holder and the charging leads and the plug. Yeah, of course. I mean, it's quite a big case, so you might want to perhaps readjust the size of it, but there's no reason why not. Could be for anything. Anything you wish. I mean, you'll even take things like crochet hooks and perhaps small knitting needles, that type of thing. So let's just give this a little fiddle here. And obviously, like I said before a gazillion times, you want to give this a press. So you want to fold that over and give it a press. Make a bit of an effort. Times I've seen some beautiful makes and they've never seen the heat of an iron. And then just take the blue out of my pen mark, give that a little press because it's been through the wars, being turned through. Again, I don't think I'll be able to get that blue out very easily. And funnily enough, the hook and loop is fine as long as you don't put a super duper hot iron on it. It's absolutely fine. And there we are. Could do with a bit more of a press, but so what you're going to do then is let's get the hot iron. Hold on. Fortunately, it's not hot. Oh, there we go. So, hot irons go in. We've got thermolam, so we know it's safe. They fit in there beautifully. Do you see? And obviously, you could use a curling tong as well. Whatever you've got. In fact, you could have both of them in there. This time we can bring the wire out that way. I could turn it and it could go the other way. We'll leave it there. This comes over perfectly and fits on there. Let's try and keep it straight. That fits on there. If we flip that over, let's do it that way. This can come back. And then, you know, these things have the longest wires in the world, which is great, except when you're trying to fold them up on part of the demonstration. So let's try and get these folded up. There we go. In place. You have to squidge it. You might want like a hair bobble, something like that, to hold all your wires together. I'm going to try and do this like that. Bring over the flap, and that holds that beautifully in place. And your plug's out the way, your wires are out of the way, and all your hot, dangerous stuff is inside here, nice and safe. And because we've stitched the Velcro really well, it's nice and strong, and that will last you many, many years. It's lovely. I wish you could see the silver thread. A little bit, there we go, a little bit of silver thread. So there, that is Bob. That is Bob, the hot iron case. And it's lovely because we've got the quilting on it. It's safe because we've got the wires and the plug out of the way. And it means that you can pop these hot irons or your curling ones, whatever you've got, into here and pop it into your suitcase, knowing it's not going to damage anything. You could, like I said, use another layer of wadding if you want to make it more substantial, but don't forget about all the layers. So you might want to cut back on the seam allowance at least 3/8 just to make sure that you don't get too much bulk in all of these areas where you've got multiple layers. Okay, just bear that in mind. So I would cut it back. But there we are. So a lovely little make, Bob. Yes, I know. It's a play on words. I couldn't help myself. So thank you very much for joining me. It's been an absolute treat. We're dead on 8 o'clock. Who knew that I'd be so accurate with my timing? Not me. And for those of you that are in my online sewing group, I will see you on Thursday, where Kath and I will be together making our mid-month madness pattern, which is gorgeous. And I'm actually going to make one. We did think about that I'd sew along with Kath, but it would be too much noise with my machine and her machine, and so we decided that we would just allow Kath to do that on her own. So yeah, so if you're in my group, I'll see you on Thursday night. If you're not in my group, I shall see you, actually I will see you next week, next Tuesday. If you're not in my group, I shall see you Tuesday with the new patterns that are part of my online sewing group, and the new Children in Need pattern for March. So join me next Tuesday. Kath will be with you on Monday as usual with her Making It Monday project, which is another gorgeous pattern. We are so lucky. Thank you very much for joining me. Have a lovely rest of your evening. I'm going to see what they're up to, you know, in the football department. And I'll speak to you all again soon. By the way, thank you so much for all my happy birthday messages for yesterday. I really appreciate it. I really, really do.